This is an anticipated one, our highly anticipated turning 30 episode.
Yeah. Did you end up doing anything crazy for your 30th? Because I know a lot of people that I follow on Instagram and stuff, mostly a lot of women. They do a lot of big parties. They're all posting stuff like death
Yeah.
in my 30s. Did you end up doing anything crazy or did you just stay low?
I laid super low. I think I got a cheeseburger, and I think that's pretty much it. I'm pretty sure I got a cheeseburger. So it was pretty much the same as every other day of my life.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's
pretty much.
literally no celebration of my 30th. How about you?
No, I didn't do anything for my big 30th. Mary wanted to go out for dinner, obviously, but I was like, no, you know what? I'm working. You're working. We're so busy now with the kids. I was like, just bake me some cupcakes, and then when we get home, we'll just do it like that. So that's all we did, and then we went to my parents' house or whatever, and her parents, and just the normal
Yeah.
little when you get older stuff. I stopped really partying hard when fuck, who know when I was
Oh,
like 21 or something.
yeah, those days were they were short lived for us, I feel like. It came
Yeah,
when our party days. I feel like when we were wild, it wasn't even partying. It was more just like doing crazy shit and destroying
yeah,
stuff and
that's
in our
what we did.
teenage years.
Like even when I first got my first job at Goodwill, remember we were throwing our bush party, the first ever bush party we threw, and they called me at like 8 p.m. on like a
Oh, the
Saturday.
next day.
They're like, hey, you got the job if you want it. Can you start tomorrow? And I was
Oh, you said at
hammered.
9 p.m. that night.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
god, they called you that night?
yeah. Remember the Saturday night they called me at like 8 or something because they closed at 9 at the time, and they're like, hey, you got the job. Do you want to take
Wow.
it? And I was like, yeah. When do you want me to start? And they're like, how about tomorrow? And I was like, oh, what time? And they're like, be in for 7, and then we'll get you trained up for 9. And I'm like, okay. So I think we were out till about what 1, 2, or 3 in the morning. I got
Oh my
home,
god.
had like
I
3 hours sleep, and just went straight to work. My new job, man.
I know what I did the next morning. I went back there with my sister looking for that one girl's shoes that she left in the bush.
No, wasn't that Hill Party 2, or was that number 1?
Oh, it probably was too. I don't know. Yeah,
Because
I think
I
that was.
remember that one. We all slept over at my house.
For anybody that doesn't know, there's a series of bush parties we had on. And when we say hill, we mean a literal dirt hill on a construction site that was grown over.
Yeah, and it looked like the hill from Lion King, so we called it Simba Hill. And
Yep.
we threw some good parties there, some funny times on that hill.
Yeah. We had some older friends buy us beer the one time, and then the other time we had an extremely questionable character buy us beer.
You know what's funny? That was Dr. Dre. It
Dr.
was
Dre, yeah. I
it was
remember
a
one time he borderline held you hostage one time.
it was it was a homeless guy who lived behind my house, and he lived in his Cavalier, and I guess he knew my brother somehow, and he would come to my house before I went to school, and he'd be, "Yo, Chris, can you hook me up like a peanut butter sandwich or something? I'm hungry." So
Yeah, we put
we got kind of close. So I asked him if he could buy us some alcohol because what we were like 15, 16, right?
yeah, I think 16, maybe 16, 17, yeah.
Yeah, but this guy was so crazy in the head. Used to tell me, "Yo, I know Obama. Yo, I know Obama. I know how Hogan." He's saying all this crazy
He
shit. He
said
knew Hulk Hogan.
he had some sort of secret like information that he
Yeah,
had like retrieved from Obama that people were trying to he said that they were after him for.
yeah. I remember he was saying they had somebody at I don't know who attacked him, but maybe the CIA attacked him and they shoved the bottle up his ass or something.
Did he get on the phone with somebody when he was with you or something and act like he was talking to somebody?
Yeah,
Or am
no,
I
he
just
was
am
on.
I
He was
reimagining
on.
that?
He went on Facebook because I let him in the house one day, and he went on Facebook, and he's like, yo, come check this out, and he was messaging someone named Barack Obama. He's like, yo, I told you I know him, man. I told you I know him. So,
Oh my god, he's probably like it's probably like Brock Obama.
mhm. Yeah, but yeah, Doctor Dre used to hook us up with some alcohol. Hopefully, he's doing all right. I haven't seen him
Yeah,
since that
God,
day. He held
see
held
now.
me hostage.
Yeah, see, we were 16, 17. Can you imagine at 30 letting that questionable of a character into your home?
Oh God, no,
And times
no
have
way.
changed. They've changed.
That
We've
was
gotten a
like
lot
when,
smarter with things like that.
yeah. Hopefully he's doing well and not getting any more bottles up his ass.
I am sure he is not doing well. I am sure he's not.
Dr. Dre.
Well,
Fuck.
anyways, that kind of that story almost brings me to a question I wanted to ask you that I was actually thinking about when we decided we were going to do our turn 30 episode. I was wondering, like, if you were to take your 30-year-old brain with the information you have and you were to put it in your body back then, what would you do differently? Like, would you make those kind of decisions? How much different would your life look like if you knew everything you know now and you had that
Well,
information back then?
that's tough, right? Because we always get asked this question, but like the cliche answer is to be like, I wouldn't change anything because if I changed something, I wouldn't have what I had now, right? Exactly, right?
The no
But
regrets.
but if I could change anything and tell them, I would just, tell my older stuff, don't be lazy, like I should have worked harder in school. Like, we like to goof off in school. We were that group. We weren't popular. We weren't like in that bottom level group. We were in the middle where the popular kids loved us so much because we were those crazy kids that would do anything, right? But
Shit, we'll laugh at.
yeah, I would just tell myself, hey, work hard. Um, Go to college. Like where would I be right now if I would have went to college or university, right? Like
Right, right.
those were all my options that I chose not to go, right? So I don't know how different my life would have been. Like there was times back when I was younger too out of high school when I could have went and worked on the oil rigs. So like where would I have been right now, right? It's so different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would have said the cliche thing, told my younger self, hey man, work hard, you know, party after you're done on school. Make sure you do right. Go to college, get yourself a good job, and stay away from the credit cards at a young age. That's what I tell a lot of younger kids that I work with, like at my previous job. You just tell them, hey, you guys are young now. Stay away from the credit cards. Don't rack them up, and don't make big car purchases finances because when you get to my age and you're trying to look for a house, all that stuff affects you, tremendously.
You bet your ass. Holy, does it ever.
Yeah, because
I
these
wish,
young kids now, they want giant trucks, they want fast cars, and they're all in the 50, 60,000 range. And you're looking at paying that 8 or 9 years. Dude, you're screwed. The banks put 5% on that. They're not giving you nothing.
yeah. Yeah, man, I wish there was somebody back then that would have taught me these things ahead of time too. I maybe would have taken that a little bit more seriously.
Yeah, like, was there anything you would have changed? Because we were kind of like the same because our teachers all kind of talked the same about us that I remember in high school. It's like, hey, you guys can achieve so much if you guys applied yourself, right? Like, we were just
Yeah.
kind of like, no, I don't want to go to this class day. I'm skipping this. Like, computer
Not
engineering, for example, I had a 93 in it in grade 10. And then the next year, I skipped it 37 times. I ended up with a 67. So like, right?
but at the same time, like, this is terrible influence for children, but like, I mean, like, how good do you really have to go to be in high school to go to post secondary school? Like, you really just got
That's
to
true,
pay
right?
that shitty money or pay that or become a slave to paying some OSAP bill. Like, realistically, like, we we probably could have taken our 67s to college, maybe even some universities. I mean, I did go to college, but it was for a trade. I just had to basically graduate high school to get in.
Yeah,
Like,
like
no,
I would have been able to get in around here, no problem. Georgian College, George Brown. I would have been able to get into a couple colleges and that are really a little further, Perry Sound. No, like I would have been able to get in there, no problem. Like I always look at it like my dad gave me everything I needed to get to where I wanted to be, but it was up to me to push forward and I never pushed forward, right? But
uh,
I'm not
see, I'm on the other hand, I'm not responsible for any of my wrongdoings. It's all on my parents.
no, but we didn't have like too much. We just had enough that he did everything he could to push me to the point where, hey man, if you want to go to school, you go to school. If you don't, then you got to get out a job and start working. But like I make really really good money for a kid that didn't go to school. You know, so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
really.
be
I mean,
I can't be
that's
angry. I'm in construction, basically construction, but I work in a water treatment plant. So like I'm doing both worlds. So you know I'm making a good little change, you know.
yeah. I mean, nothing at the end of the day, nothing beats like a good work ethic.
Hmm.
If you
That's why
have that, pretty
you put
far.
yeah, you put the time in, you put the hours in, and you know, you make that little sacrifice from being away from your family, those long hours. It sucks and it hurts, but at the end of the day, right, it's the dollar that makes the world go around, right? So you need to make it.
Yeah. And hey, we're 30 and 10 years from now we'll be doing our turning 40 episode. I mean, gotta work like that while you're young. You gotta work like that while you're young, because when like how long can you work like a dog,
Yeah.
right? You gotta get those hours in while you're young.
Like who's gonna be more gray, me or you by 40?
Ooh, I don't know. It's already started. I mean, you can't see me on, especially on my phone camera. Maybe actually, but I got a little bit of like the Reed Richards starting to come in.
Oh, you're starting a little bit.
A
Do you
little bit. I haven't really.
do you remember how we first met? Because I know we went to each other's birthday parties when we were really
Yeah.
young, but that was like grade 2 or 3. And the only time I remember us hanging out at that point was at recess when everyone used to wrestle and you chipped my tooth. It still
Yeah.
chipped you out with me in the mouth,
Yeah.
but we never hung out after like maybe grade 3 or so when we stopped inviting each other to birthday parties until that summer of grade 8. And I know
Yeah.
I can
Before grade
relate.
8, right?
Yeah, like I can relate how we met, but I don't know if it's the same as you. But basically, what happened that summer of grade 8, going into grade 9, I believe, uh, my brother and all the kids on my street had already made it to high school, so they were all much older than me. So I really had no one to hang out with anymore. My best friend in elementary school, Jordan, we never hung out too much in the summer because his mom didn't like me, so we didn't hang out too much. I just hung out with the older kids on the street. But I remember I was on Facebook and I messaged Nick and I was like, "Hey,
Oh yeah, Nick is a beauty.
I was like, "Hey, what are you guys up to? Like, can I come down and hang out?" And he was like, "Yeah, come down." So I went down there, and I my memory's a little foggy, but I swear when I went there, it was him, Alan, and Curtis. They had a fog machine in the garage. They were jamming out. And I don't know if I'm tripping out. Did Nick have a half pipe or something in his garage?
Yeah, he had a quarter pipe, a quarter pipe.
Okay, so I am okay.
Yeah.
So that's how I started hanging out with them again. And then one night we were still hanging out, and he's like, "Do you know Dan Ford?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Dan Ford, but I haven't hung out with Dan in
Yeah, and that's like
years."
grade 2.
And then we went to call on you in typical Dan Ford fashion, always in his underwear. And
Yes, I used to answer my boxes. I didn't care who was at the door.
yeah, it did not every night. So, like, do you recollect when we first met, or is it along the same lines that I'm talking about? And also, when we're on the underwear, I have to get you to tell the story of how your Christmas letter almost ended up putting you in jail.
Oh man. Oh, okay. Those are. See, I remember the one vividly, not the other so much. See, I don't recall the exact moment when we rekindled our relationship later on in grade school, but that story definitely makes sense to me. But you remember that friend group, like especially like in the year or two to come, like so many people came in and out, right? So it was so many people coming in and out, and there's only a few people that just happened to stay, and like it was a lasting friendship, and we hung out for years.
Yeah.
But you know, tons of people that would like hang out and they'd be there every night for like 2 months and then they wouldn't be hanging out with us ever again and stuff like that. I don't know if it's because we scared them off or
Well, we were doing some crazy shit, right?
we were definitely
Right.
doing some. Nick was insane. I remember going over to Nick's house. He had so much energy in when we were in grade school that he would just attack you, and you don't like you try to just get him to leave you alone, but you just have to result to like hitting him back or hurting him really bad to get you to leave. I remember him attacking me for a straight hour one time. I told him, "Get away from me, dude! Get away from me!" I literally was hiding from him in his own house at one point, and I just said, "Screw it!" And he had a Blue Jays souvenir bat, and I
Oh
took
yeah,
him
I
and
remember.
cracked him on the knuckle with it. And then
I remember that.
calm
I
right
was
down.
there
He
'cause
calmed right down. Yeah, you were
he
there.
was
I
he
were.
was he was fucking chasing us around the house with like a fucking horse whip or something. Some
Yeah,
kind of
thanks.
vine, yeah.
He whipped the shit out. Alan, I think it was Alan that he
Yeah.
whipped the shit out. of.
I
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
I
man.
remember I fucking jumped out of his window and was on his roof. I was hiding on his roof.
That sounds crazy, but I think people were always on his roof, his
Yeah.
garage roof. Right, you go at his bedroom window right onto the garage roof.
Yeah, he was crazy because I remember when he dropped out of school and he would come to my house at like 6 in the morning and be like, yo, Chris, don't go to school today. Don't go to school today. Let's just hang out, man. And I'm like,
Yeah,
Nick, I remember I told him, I was like, because he looked rough. And I was like, Nick, you should probably go home, man. Like, I,
yeah.
because he, like, I don't even know, was he living on the street at that time or was, I don't even know
No,
what he was
no,
doing.
I can't. I can't remember. I think his living situations they got complicated and stuff. But
Yeah.
I said you have him on Facebook too. He's not anything like that now. You see like a
No.
clean cut guy and stuff. Looks
Full,
like he's got
full 180.
together way
Full
more than I
180.
do.
Jesus. Moving to California fucking saved him, man.
Yeah, yeah. No, he was always
All
a
right.
good guy though. He was one of the most important guys to me getting into music too. So I
Yeah.
always.
He was a good guy. Those guys were always good to me, man. Don't hide out on that story, man. I want to hear that story about that Christmas letter.
Yes, my Christmas letter. How did that question even come up? You just thought of that randomly?
You were in your underwear all the time, and I read that's how the story came up.
Okay. So just my general perversion led me to this story. Okay. Yeah. I mean, anybody that knows me knows I fucking love Christmas. And every year I would write a Santa Claus letter. I did it as a child, and I started doing it again as a teenager. And they turned into just basically jokes over time. I learned one year that you can take the joke a little too far. I think the previous year, I think I had asked for like a threesome and a camera to film it with. It was with specific people. I'm not going to name the people now, but it was. So I felt like I had to top that. So the following year, I was in college at this point. I wasn't in high school anymore. I was a college-age young man, and I was going to write my letter to Santa Claus. And at the time, I was working at Chrysler as a student on the assembly line. That's where my father worked, so he got me a student job. And my dad carpooled with a group of guys, and there was this one guy specifically that he would always be late, and he'd always get me to work late. And like none of these guys were all in the plant for like years. They had seniority. They didn't give a shit whether they were late or not. And me as a student, like I'm literally running to my job every day. I'm like sweating bullets, waiting for this guy to arrive at my house just to pick me up. Like, what the hell? I gotta be from. I gotta drive. I have an hour's drive to work, and work starts in 45 minutes. Like, where is this guy? Like, so needless to say, I hated this guy. So when I wrote my Santa letter, I asked Santa Claus kindly if he could kill him. And I even included a picture. And I think you can attest, I'm a pretty decent drawer. I'm an okay artist. I intentionally drew it like a child would draw it. And I drew me in the back of Santa's sleigh flying through the sky and me pooping off the back of it and it landing on his corpse beneath. So yeah, that with the letter, I shipped that off to the post office. I never thought they read those letters. I thought they just read the name on the envelope, the return address, and they just sent that generic letter like, well, if you're a good boy, Santa will do whatever you ask. And but no, it said someone called the police at the post office. So this female cop knocks on my door. My mother answers. She asks where Daniel is. I'm pretty sure she expected like some like 11-year-old that had like watched too much violent TV or something, and down comes like 19, 20-year-old me, all 6'7".
You were definitely in your underwear, yo. You were definitely in your underwear, yo.
Well, I think when my mom said there's a cop there, I probably put on some clothes, but I don't know. I can't remember, to be honest. It might have been. But I remember her asking, like, do you go to the high school down the street? I'm like, no, ma'am. I'm actually in college. But yeah, I remember her saying that she dusted the letter for Prince. I'm like, the address is on it. Why did you waste your time dusting for Prince?
Jesus. You're lucky you weren't
Yeah,
black.
yeah, yeah, yeah. She would have clubbed me right when I went to the door.
Oh fuck.
But yeah, maybe there's some things I might not have done at 30, but I don't know. To be honest, that cop never showed up at my door. I might still be doing that to this day. To be
I
honest.
can't believe they actually read those letters. Like I thought,
Yeah,
like you said, I thought it was
really?
just a generic kind of they send you the same shit.
You always put your name in
Crazy.
the return address on the envelope, right? So that's all they need. So that's what I figured.
Do you remember
Unless they extra my picture and they thought there was money in there, like I was sending Santa a payoff or something.
that's a great story though, yo. That's your do you remember anything about like your 20s, like leading up to 30 that like you would have changed or something that,
Mm.
altered your life?
Oh man, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure like if I could redo my 20s, it'd look totally different. Like I worked multiple jobs, spent a few years at different jobs. Like if I would have committed all that time to one, I'd be a lot further in my career. Like there's a lot of things where I feel like in my 20s, I was just still like a late teenager. And when I became 20, I'm like, well, I guess I'm an adult now. I better start doing adult things. And I didn't even realize how much I was actually like treading water a lot of the time and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say I probably have more regrets in the last 10 years than I had the 10 years previous to that for sure. For sure. Because I
Yeah.
mean, how much responsibility do you have as a teenager, right? It's really the first point in your life where you like, well, my mom and dad have been responsible for all my bullshit now, and I'm responsible for all my bullshit all of a sudden.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fucked up, man. I remember like this would be like tough for me to say, but like my early 20s was like the hardest time of my life, man. Like I
Yeah.
was like you guys don't know this. You guys know a small bit of it. So this is the first time I'll be telling you guys, but like you know how I became a germaphobe. Like I became a germophobic, right?
Right.
So that all started from when I worked at Goodwill. And when I start working there? 18, 19?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, around that. Maybe. Yeah, 18 probably.
Yeah, 18 or 19 to about, man, I swear when I met Mary, man, it was the hardest time of my life, man. Like like it like germophobic, like it came like, oh, I'm working with all this dirty stuff. Let me start washing my hands. And then
Right.
it came to incessively washing my hands. And then it came to like, I don't even know how to explain how it went this far, but it was like if someone was wearing a band-aid, my mind triggered that band-aid somehow the blood was gonna get on me and I was gonna get sick. Like,
No way.
yeah, like I have these story. Like I'm not gonna go in depth with it because like I was extreme, buddy. Like from
I
what I
had no
was,
idea.
yeah, because like we at that point we kind of stopped. We didn't stop hanging out, but we'd hang out like sporadically. But
Yeah.
I was in like my own bubble at that point because I was so fucked up mentally. Like I don't like if you would talk to my brother and my parents, thank God they were around that time. I was fucked, yo. Like I can tell you, like there'd be times I would wash my hands for like 20 minutes straight.
No way,
Like
eh?
yeah, my mind would just tell me that my hands were dirty. Like my routine when I was like I would say 20 to like when I met Mary, probably like 27. I'd go to work, I'd come home, I'd wash my hands because my mind would say they're dirty. I'd go shower, wash my hands, then I would Clorox my whole car, my steering wheel,
No
my
way.
fucking my stick, the turn signals, my doorknob, everything. And then I clean my phone. Like it got so bad, like I had to throw away all my outfits. And like why I'm saying this is because when I was at work, when you're in a warehouse, people cut themselves and shit, right?
Yeah.
So like I'd be washing my hands going for break and I didn't notice this guy had a band-aid on his hand. And when he's washing, my mind would go, oh my God, the blood is transferring over to me like the splashback. So like the
Oh,
whole
shit.
day my mind would be racing. and like I would go home and get changed after, but then I'd feel like my clothes are contaminated, so my whole wardrobe, like I threw out
No
everything. 'Cause,
way, eh?
yeah, like
Holy
it was,
fuck, dude! I had no idea.
I mean, that no one knew it was that bad except my parents. Like I was fucked up, man, and it was like it got so bad. You know how normally I used to just open a bag of chips and eat it when we were watching UFC or something, right?
Right.
It came to like before I would have to do that, I'd wash my hands 3 to 5 times because once wasn't enough, twice wasn't enough, 3 times sometimes was enough, but I'd still think it was dirty, so I'd have to wash it like 5 times. And
Damn.
I would wash my hands like 3 to 5 times. Then I'd open up the bag of chips, pour it in a bowl, and then I'd wash my hands again because I
Yeah.
touched this dirty bag of chips, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
if I had to refill it, I'd have to do the same, and it'd be the same if I was getting a drink.
Right. Right.
It like it sounds crazy because like
Well,
mentally, like people that have this problem will understand what I'm saying because like you just feel like everything is gonna harm you, right? But like I would be doing laundry like every other day because like even putting on my underwear was stressful. I know it sounds funny, but I'm gonna tell you the story. Cause like I would buy slippers. So like in my mind, the carpet was fucking dirty. And if my foot like touched the carpet, I couldn't wear those socks. You know, like I felt like it was contaminated. I don't know. So when I
floor's
was putting on,
lava.
yeah. So when I was when I was putting on my underwear, I would have to try to put it on so my feet didn't touch any of it. And if it touched it, I wouldn't be able to wear the underwear. Like I was fucked up,
Fuck, you're
man.
playing like Operation with your underwear.
Yeah. No, but like, dude, I was so fucked up. Like I was using I don't even know how to explain it, man. Like I would buy a pack of soap a week because I would only use one soap one time, and I throw it out. It came to a point when my dad's like, "Okay, stop throwing out soap, stop throwing out paper towel, keep them," because I never have to buy soap again. Because like he never had to buy soap and paper towel. So
Your dad's getting your secondhand soap.
because he was like, "Stop throwing it out.
You're
What's
like,
wrong with
oh,
you?"
but can you at least pick the pubes out of it first?
But but yeah, like
I didn't.
I don't
Man, I
even
had no idea.
yeah, I don't even know how that led there. Like for that till I was like 27-ish when I met Mary, I was like in a fucking bubble, yo. Like I would
Mm.
still go out and do things, but I couldn't do events and stuff because I couldn't like use a public bathroom. Like there was
Damn.
like things yeah, like I couldn't just do it, yo. Like from like 20 to 27 like was the hardest time of my life, yo. And I can't even tell someone if someone's if germophobic how I got over it, but like I just met Mary and then like I was like it was just one time it was just like I have to change and I just stopped being a
Yeah.
germophobic like it was just like one day like I just stopped. Now I'm just back to how I normally was, right? So thank God I snapped out of it, but like fuck man, I was fucked up because if I was still like that now, I wouldn't even be able to change my kids' diapers and shit, you know?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, definitely not because kids are literal germ factories. Jesus.
Yeah. Dude, like no one knows any of that about my family, right? Like I was so bad that like I don't even know how to explain it, yo. It's fucked up.
That's fucking wild, man. I mean, you know that
Yeah, but
I was exposed to that growing up because I got a family member that had struggled with the same thing, right?
yeah.
And yeah, it's wild because like when we were young, you weren't like that at all, eh? Like,
No, it just led to like consuming me. And like I knew the funny thing is that you know people have like an addiction or a disorder and they don't want to admit it. I knew I was
yeah,
fucked up. Like my dad would be like, "Yo, you got a problem." Like, "I know. I'm fucked up. I know. I can't shake it." Like I knew I had this issue, but it
I
took it took a long time for me to find like over almost a decade. Like I was a decade, I like my routine, like I told you, I'd come home from work and I'd Clorox everything. I'd wash my hands 1,000 times a day. Like I wouldn't even touch the remote. I'd have to use a paper towel to touch the remote and shit. Like I was fucked up, man.
damn, dude, damn.
Yeah,
How do you wipe?
it's crazy, eh?
How do you wipe your ass?
Normally. No, but what happened? I would buy my own toilet paper, so I wouldn't use anyone's toilet paper.
Right,
Like
right,
I
right.
wouldn't use the toilet paper in the house. I'd buy my own toilet paper, and then when I was done, I'd take it back and put it in a fucking room, yo, and then I would keep using it.
Wow, wow, fuck, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's tough.
Goodwill must have been like the worst fucking mental torture for that.
Well, the problem was like it was just so much dirty shit, and at first it didn't bug me, and then like when you start seeing like syringes and dildos and fucking
Yeah,
stained panties and shit, I'm
yeah.
like, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I should probably start fucking washing my hands like excessively, and then it just turned into something like I couldn't control, yo. It was bad, man.
Yeah. Damn.
But
Fuck, man.
but it only lasted like 8 years, so it's not too bad.
I got a little bit of that. I mean, you know me, I've never been able to like number two in a public washroom.
Yeah, like I still don't do that, but I never did that when I was younger anyways.
Yeah, I mean that is pretty
And,
fucking gross. I feel really bad that women like have no choice but to sit on a public toilet.
and then from like 20, I want to say when I got to my second job I was at for like 8 years, man, they just didn't appreciate a hard worker, you know. I'm not saying I'm the best worker, but I dude, this is how bad it was. I got in trouble by the supervisors cuz I was working too hard. Like I would get
Looks bad.
No, for real. I would get in trouble because I was working too hard, and I would go in the back, yo, it's time for me to become a supervisor. I know I can lead these guys. I'm doing all the work, whatever, whatever. And they would not do it because the current supervisor was jealous of me because I was working too hard. I was better than him. So he would shit on me and it's terrible, yo.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yo, my 20s until like I said, until I met Mary, it was a fucking disaster for me. But like, I was never depressed or nothing, right? Like, it never was.
Right.
I was still my same self, but it was just the germophobic and then going to work unhappy every day. Yo, it was tough, yo.
Dude, that's wearing. Like I remember back when I was working at Honda, and like I grew to the point where I just despised it. And I think I was about 26 or 7 when I ended up quitting. But last like few months of working there, I remember just like sitting in the parking lot and literally like not actually ever coming to tears, but feeling like I could literally just like start bawling before I go in.
Yeah,
And it's like all I gotta do is just go in there for 8 hours, but it's just like it got to a
yeah,
point where it's like so mentally taxing just being at a
yeah.
place that I just dislike so much.
It was just like me, man. When I'd be driving to work, and it'd be going down a hill, and then left would be my work, and then right would be fucking freedom. You know, left would be my
Yeah,
prison
yeah.
sentence, and left is freedom. And sometimes I'd be like, nah, I'm turning right today, motherfuckers. Yo, no, yo, they didn't
Oh
seem to
man.
appreciate it. And then when I took leave off of because I took parental, so I took 3 months off when Mary had the babies, and that just honestly saved my life, yo, because I was able to find a new job, and now
Yeah,
you know when you wake up and you're not upset to go to work, and you're kind of
yeah.
happy to go to work, and you like the guys there. So man, fuck, man, those early 20s was fucking tough for me, yo.
But you mentioned your kids. Like, do you think back then that would you have thought that you'd be a father by 30?
No, because you guys knew I never wanted kids. I never
You
wanted
you never want kids? I know. I couldn't remember to be honest. I couldn't remember to be
no.
honest.
I never wanted kids, Joe. And then I knew it because
Oh, hold on a sec. Look, we're getting called out in the chats. See, they're saying they don't even read the chats.
oh, okay, okay. I'm reading it. I'm reading it. I just don't want to say I don't want to say what David said. That's controversial, yo.
It's not controversial if he meant it. David said that if he could go
Oh yeah.
back, he would change
Well,
his gender. And I think he's serious. I don't think David isn't despicable enough to be making such a joke. I don't.
no.
That's
You can
not the David I know.
you can identify as anything and we'll still love you, buddy.
Yes.
No, but I never wanted kids, and if I did, it had to have been with the right person.
Right.
But I knew if I was gonna have kids, it was gonna be twins. I used to make that joke with my family all the time because my dad's a twin. And
Oh,
then it
right, right. You just
Yeah, so it ended up being a
skip the
twin. So
generation. It skipped a
yeah,
generation, right?
Yeah, I ended up getting them, but yeah, no, man, I wouldn't see my life without them, man. Just I don't even know how to explain it, how it feels to be like a father, but it's just incredible, man. You know, it's sad that they grow up so quick. I feel like just, a couple months ago they were just little tiny babies and they couldn't do nothing, and now they're running, they're starting to talk.
Dancing,
Yeah, potty train. Yeah, oh yeah, they dance,
the
they have fun,
dancing.
you know.
I was
They
showing
dance.
all my family that video the other day, and this I like this like little clap in the dance. He
Yeah.
throws in the clap.
No, it's
Yeah, man.
amazing. The hardest thing for me though was going back to work. Like when I had to
Yeah,
go back to work, it came to a point when my parental was gonna be up in like January, and it was like December. It was almost December, and Mary was like, "Okay, what are you doing? You were supposed to go back to school or find a new job. What, are you gonna go back there and be unhappy?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'm not going back there." So I just went online and started applying at places, and I applied at this water treatment plant. I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna get this because you needed some fucking education and shit." But I ended up, I guess, killing the interview, and then I took a chance, and it worked out right so far.
yeah. How do you think you're a pretty good interview, eh? I've always struggled with that.
No, I just go in. I find when I go in interviews, I just try to be a little like humorous and have like not seem too
Right,
like uptight and just kind of try to feel them out a little bit. But I always seem you always want to have like health as your main priority. So when they ask you, be like, oh, it's always about keeping the guys safe, following the SOPs, stuff like that.
right. Yeah, I've always struggled with trying to stay like cool and casual in an interview. Like I'm always work myself up so much. Like I could be applying to fucking clean the toilets at Red Lobster, and I would go in thinking that they're gonna ask me like fucking corner me with these crazy questions as if I'm like interviewing for an office job or something.
No, yeah, that's it, yo. But no, I just go in how we are now, right? And I just you know speak off the dome, and like they seem to all like it. I've gotten every job I went to an interview for. Like even the jobs I didn't take, they all call me back. So
Yeah, I've gone in like I am now, but then they usually go like, "Why are you wearing a baseball jersey? Why do you smell like pot?"
yeah, don't do that, yo. Because when I went for my interview, because I only worked with four guys, right? They were all talking shit about me afterwards because I went in all dressed nice, had nice boots on, I had a nice shirt, whatever. And they're
Right.
like, "Oh, this kid will never get dirty. This kid can't work here." And I'm the dirtiest one there every day, yo. So
I'll shit my pants right here, right now, and prove it to you.
remember when, remember when that fucking crazy bitch confront you at the beach, and you're like, "Oh, I'm pooping my pants right now."
Yeah, I don't even remember what I was trying to prove, but my answer to a lot of things in my youth was shitting on things, shitting in things,
No, you know what I
throwing shit
want to
at
ask.
things.
You know what I want to ask you because I never asked you this. But when we were younger in grade school, um, how come you never tried out for the basketball team? Because I know
Oh, in grade school.
in grade four I didn't make the team, and
Mhm.
it was bullshit. I remember when I seen the list and like my brother and all the other kids that I knew I was better than made it. I went home and I went in the bathroom. I was crying and shit. And then I know I didn't make it in grade, what was it, 10 when we tried out?
Yeah, in high school, yeah.
And then you
See,
made it. But I'll let you tell the story about grade 10 because that's how I know Dan's a real one. He's always got, the boys back. So I'll let you go ahead. But
yeah.
answer first,
Well,
how come you never tried out in grade school?
mainly in grade school, like you probably remember from like when we first started hanging out again, uh, like when I was hanging out with Nick and stuff. Like was not a sports guy. I was a 100% like a music guy. Like I was
Okay.
all about like I was like basically hippie slash punk rocker from the time I was like in grade like 6, I think. And so
Oh,
like
I know. I remember, yo. I
yeah,
know.
I like hockey when I was young. Like I used to watch the Don Cherry Rock'em Sock'ems growing up and stuff. But like I didn't get back into sports until almost high school. Like in grade 7, I got back into football, and then
Okay.
eventually I let my interest back, piqued my interest back into every other sport. But I wasn't I wasn't interested in basketball probably until grade 9. So I literally never even thought about trying out. Like I would never even considered trying out. And obviously I've been a shoe in. Like I was way taller than everybody in high school. I was disgustingly taller than people in grade school. Like
Oh
I
yeah.
remember going to and I'm not can't say his last name, Andrew B. You probably know who. I remember going to his
Okay.
house one time for a project, and his mother like couldn't believe that I was in the same grade as him. Like she just she definitely, I could tell the way she was talking. She definitely thought I was like held back, like I was like stupid or something. Because
Oh
I looked
fuck.
like a foot and a half taller than most of the kids. But
Quickly on
yeah, so
that though,
high
do you
school,
remember when that kid Andrew B ran into Peter and broke his collarbone? Do you remember that?
was that football or is that?
No, it was in gym class. We were playing octopus, and he fucking
Oh,
ran into Peter,
octopus.
and it was like a brick wall and broke his collarbone. You know, he was
Oh.
fucked up.
I remember when he pulled his groin when we were playing schoolyard football when he went to tackle Mark B, who was a beast, by the way. He should have gone
Yeah.
to our high school and played football. He was an animal on the schoolyard back then. He was like Dick Buckus, grade school Dick Buckus. And I remember Andrew trying to tackle him, and Andrew like got like shrugged off, and then he like figure four leg locked Mark and just ended up
Oh yeah.
tearing the crap out of his own groin.
And nothing beats when Miss McDowell broke her knee, yo.
Oh my god! It was so Miss McDowell was this like teacher. She was a female teacher. She looked like a 5'6" dude though, and she was she was doing this drill where she was hopping. She was hopping from the floor onto a bench, onto
Yeah.
the floor, then back onto the bench and onto the floor, and it was on one leg. Is that what it was?
No, it was, yeah, I think it was on both legs, but then when she came down, her knee buckled and she fucking broke her leg.
And she was in terrible pain. But us as kids, it was one of the greatest comedy moments of our childhood. It was just amazing.
All right, yo, sorry I cut you off, yo. Continue.
Yeah. So high school, we were actually by the time we tried out in grade 10, we were fucking. I mean, we were balling a lot, like grade 9 summer and stuff. We were playing with most of the guys that were on the team, playing street ball after school and stuff, and all summer long. And then I was super conditioned from playing high school football and football in the summer. And yeah, I remember me and you were like, "Oh, this is we weren't really interested in grade 9. We are still feeling out high school. I didn't even play high school football in grade 9, but yeah, we were like, fucking, we're going out this year, and we were like, we're fucking shoe in. We've been playing with all these guys. We can hold our own. Like I knew for sure I was in just the height alone. Like I could have been complete garbage. I would have been on the team still at some capacity. But yeah, we went and we obviously made the first cut, and then we go down to the second cut, and I don't even think I even checked it. So I don't even think I even checked. I think you checked it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because you didn't
we
believe
both
me.
just assumed that we were like, well, we're both on the team. Like
You didn't believe me because I was like, oh, yeah, yo, you made the team, but I didn't. And you're like, what? You're lying.
No fucking way. Because I mean, I was tall. I was not a good dribbler. Remember, you could do pretty much everything at the time for guys our age. Like you could drive, you could shoot, you could dribble really well, and you could play really good like perimeter defense, man to man defense and stuff. Like I remember just assuming you were on the team. I couldn't believe it. I remember that moment. I'm like, well, I'm fucking not playing basketball. And I remember the coach being so mad because he was my high school football coach, and I just played quarterback for him in the fall. And he like loved me like personally, like he thought we got along really well, and he was so disappointed in me. He was so disappointed in me, but I was like, I'm not playing with Chris. Fuck this shit. Like,
Well, the funny thing is, with me, the issue I've always had, even growing up, is like I don't like to try in like sports. Like I don't know what it is. I guess I don't like people thinking I'm a try hard. Like it's just the
right.
problem I have. Like like my mentality. I don't like to try. But like honestly, at that time, if when I was trying, I could ball out anybody. Yo, I was at that time of playing basketball. I was
Then
nasty. Yo,
jury called it out Pody. Sorry,
yeah,
go on.
yeah. But no, but at that time in like grade 9, 10, 11 ish, I could compete with anybody. Like I remember we would be playing on the street, like the schoolyard and stuff, and they'd be like, "Oh, this guy, whatever, I'll guard him and I would fuck him up. Like if I
Yeah.
wanted to try like my hardest, I could ball with any of those kids easily, yo. And the kid that made it over me, remember his mom worked
Oh,
as in the office. And do you remember when we went to the rec center and I gave him some of that 90s D in his
oh,
ass, yo, and he was
you took
crying
it
and
out
shit.
on him. You
Oh
took it
yeah, he
out
was
on him
crying
with
and shit,
the
yo.
oh, Jerry's calling out the reverse. Oh yeah, the reverse, baby. That was our go-to play in the entire football. We couldn't throw the ball for shit. We couldn't block for our running backs, but we could run that reverse to the wide receivers all day.
That's it. Fuck. No, but yeah. You should have played on that grade 10 team though, man.
Yeah, honestly, that's another regret of mine. Like, see, now my brain's flowing. That is a regret of mine. I really regret never playing like organized
Yeah.
basketball.
You should have. It's a good time, yo. And you would have met a lot of those other fucking kids, yo. It would have been good.
Yeah, my heart was always in football, but like my body's not built at all for football, and it's built perfectly for basketball. I just wish I would have wouldn't have fought that so much and just would have played basketball.
Yeah, I wish I just tried harder. I should have just always tried, but I'm okay. I'm okay with always going about 70%, yo. I don't like trying. Like I remember people would be dying in the beep test at like 11, and I would not even be tired. And
Oh,
I'd be
dude,
like,
oh man,
and then
11.
I
I've
would
never made it to 10.
I would just be like, I'm just gonna give up here because there's no I'm not gonna
You
I'm
don't
not
want
gonna
to look
try
like
any harder.
I always made it further than you remember that kid that pooped his pants during the beep test.
I know I won't remember him, but I know who you're talking about. But David
Yeah,
knows
you
his name
remember.
because his locker was beside him.
I think his name was Brandon too, right? But he pooped and it rolled out of his pants, and then we came in the gym after, and the
Yeah, and they
gym
were doing
teacher had the pan and the broom, and he's scooping up little round little
yeah.
poops off the gym floor. Looks like he took little
Uh,
rat poops all over the gym floor.
fuck.
The question,
Uh,
one question I want to ask you, make sure I ask you is, okay, so you take yourself back then, when we would have graduated high school, say the 18-year-old self and yourself today, who wins in a fight?
Me at 18. Fuck.
You at 18, yeah? Did the
Dude,
experience hasn't gotten you anywhere? Or?
no, like old age. Yeah, like I
True.
know people say it's not a thing, yo, dude. Yeah, like a month ago, I went to put on my sweater and I twisted my neck and I was out for like 2 weeks.
You just
All I
turned
did,
40.
I went to I went to the doctors and like I was like, well, I took my kids because they had appointments, and then I was like, Doc, can you look at my neck? I heard it putting on my sweater, and she gave me some pills and stuff. Yo, I was fucked up, man. I like
Damn.
injuries now just add up. Like when I was at the gym and I was going 120%, and I never felt a thing. I never got tired. I never sweat. I could go on forever. But now, man, I'm fat. I'm old, dude. I'm in bad shape, man.
Yeah. For me, I feel like it'd be a mental thing. Like I would lose to my younger self, and I don't think it's because of like physical capabilities, because I don't feel that much different, which is crazy. Because I just live off of a diet of cheeseburgers, and I never do anything athletic anymore. Not since we played basketball in grade 10, probably have I done anything
Yeah.
athletic. But uh, um, yeah, I feel physically similar to 18, but mentally, like I feel like back then I felt like the thought of getting into a fight, being hit, didn't seem that intimidating. Now the thought of like getting punched in the face seems horrific to me. I'd be like, that would hurt so bad. I would go home. I'd try to like play video games. I'd be throbbing the whole time. I'd be distracted. I wouldn't be able to do anything. Wouldn't be able to enjoy food.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for me, it's a mental
No.
hang. Like,
No, my 18-year-old self would destroy me right now, yo. But you gotta remember, if my 18-year-old self got a little blood on him, yo, I don't know, yo, he would have fucking panicked and went home. So
true.
you never know,
David
right?
called it in the comments section. Her head bounced right off my knee, and it just startled me. I remember I didn't even catch her. I went like that. Did one of those.
But yo, I had never seen that girl before.
Yeah, well, there's all like kids there that graduate from alt school, like the alternative
Yeah,
learning center,
yeah,
stuff
because
like that.
there was a lot of kids I never seen, but I will say though, I've dropped a lot of kids in dodgeball. I never,
Yeah,
I never.
poor souls.
Oh man, I dropped a lot of
One
kids
kid
in dodgeball.
on nosebleeds, I remember.
Yeah, remember when I broke that kid's face, yo? What was it?
I wonder if they still do dodgeball at school.
Oh, fuck.
Oh
That
god,
was
we're so off
better, yo.
topic from 30. Here, I'll get us back on topic. Here we go. Here's something I had for us for our 30 special. Here's
Yeah,
a
bring us back
dozen
on top.
things. Here's a dozen things that are turning 30 with us this year. Star Fox, Doom,
Oh,
Jurassic Park. Let's see what I got. The Fugitive film.
oh, oh,
Yeah. Best Picture winner of the year, Schindler's List.
oh.
In the music genre, you have 36 Chambers, the Wu-Tang Clan, and In Utero by Nirvana. And on television, there's some big ones. X-Files, Boy Meets World, Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw
Wow, turning
debuted.
30.
It turned 30 with us.
Wow.
And then I got to show a little bit of love for my comic fans out there, and Batman: Mask of the Phantasm, and Frank Miller's Man Without Fear run on Daredevil. All these things turning 30 with us this year.
So what you're saying is that we're old.
Yeah, pretty old to be honest. Like, holy shit, we've been. I mean, a lot of those movies like Jurassic Park. I feel like I haven't watched that for like 30 years since I was like 3 or 4. Probably. Well, maybe it's a little older than that actually.
I want to
When I
know.
first watched it.
There was
Okay.
one song I listened to when I turned 23. I want to know if you know what it is. Try to guess. When I turned 23, this was the first song I
You
put on when I
kidding?
was going to work.
What's my age again?
That's it.
Blink-182.
Yes, you know. I took her out. It was a Friday night. I work alone to get the feeling right. We started making out. She took off my
And she
pants,
took out my
and
pants,
then I
and
turned on
then
the
I turned on
TV.
the TV. At least, as long as you didn't listen to that Taylor Swift song when you turned 22, please say you
I
did.
I don't listen to any of those newer fucking artists, yo.
I've performed black magic rituals where I've sacrificed goats and hoping Taylor Swift dies.
What? What? You're a sick bastard, aren't you, yo? You do that, but you'll sleep with a Katy Perry blow up doll.
I didn't sleep with it. It didn't even resemble. Man, what a ripoff! I remember you guys were all with me when I bought that. I was like him and Han about buying that the whole time we were out. I'm like, fuck it, let's go back. I'm buying that. And as soon as I got out of the box, I'm like, that doesn't look like Carrie Payton. It looks like every other blow-up doll ever. And like just the generic face. I was like, what made it Katy Perry?
Do you remember when you bought your pocket pussy and you smacked your dad in the face with it when he was sleeping?
No, I didn't buy it. You bought it, and I
Was
said,
it me?
I said, before you take that home, let me borrow that. And I went and slapped my dad in the face with it. And I shoved it right in his face. So I slapped, he got slapped the face by it. Then he woke up and it was just right in his face.
Oh no, that was mine. Okay, because I have a story. Because I don't know if it was mine or not. Because I remember my old man back then used to just randomly clean out my car, and then he was like, when I came home, he's like, "Hey, you should really get that shit out of your car." And I'm like, "What stuff?"
Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
and he's like, "Go look." And what I had was, I had a machete. I had the machete from our movie in there. So I had a
Yeah.
machete under my seat. I had a pocket pussy, and I had my ex-girlfriend's thong in there, all underneath our seat.
You look like it makes you seem like a murderer rapist or something.
Yeah. Well, what had happened was I wanted to throw out the pocket pussy, but like my dad's one of those weird people when he does the garbage that he goes through it and he puts the stuff in the right bin. So I was like, oh, I can't throw it in there. So I went to work early to throw it in the bin because I worked at Goodwill, so we had a giant garbage. And then a lady was there who came in early, so I couldn't throw it there. So it just sat under my seat until
Oh
one
my
day
God.
we were driving up to Walmart, and I think you were playing with it in the back seat, and then it threw it out in the field. So that's where it is right
Oh, it
now.
is. See, David commented, what is it on the side of the road? I was going
Yeah,
to say, no, that's our other friend Justin, that's what he did to his torso that he became addicted to sleeping with.
Yeah,
A lonely friend that bought a latex torso, and then I don't know. I think he would come home and light candles and make a dinner, and then
no,
it took
but
over
like
his life, so he had to throw it away.
I told him to buy that thing. Man, I told him to buy that
He
thing, yo.
basically doomed it. For him, it was like it was like him. It was essentially like him getting like the symbiote. He had to like throw it away. Like, this is taking over everything. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't go to work. All I can do is fuck this thing.
Fucking. Do you remember? Do you remember my classic green pants?
Oh my god, do I ever remember your classic green pants? I remember there's a shot I see occasionally on Facebook that's you, Kyle, and Pat from grade school walking down the hallway. Kyle's got his classic Zeppelin shirt that I remember Kyle always wearing as a kid. And you got your classic green pants and your classic Leafs hat too. That white Leafs hat.
It's funny because and that like around that time, that's when I really got into hockey. And I wanted to play hockey like so bad. So I remember I was talking to Kyle. I'm like, well, how much is this? It was like $700 and then all the equipment. So I went home and I told my dad, he's like, no, like I can't afford to send you hockey. I'll just buy you a pair of sneakers and you can go play basketball, right? But think about this.
Hockey's crazy, dude.
From what was that? 06, 07, you would say?
Yeah. Oh God, as a Leaf fan, what a terrible time for you to get back into hockey.
Yeah. But I believed in them, right? Like I still do. But anyways, but it took me from that. It took me from then until I was 27 to finally be on a hockey team. And like, not only was I on the hockey team, but I owned the hockey team and I ran the hockey team.
Right.
Like I
almost joined your hockey team.
Yeah. Well, you do have a jersey, right?
Got jersey number 69.
Yeah, but it's funny because when I started up the team, I actually had to do like some GM shit. Like I was making Kijiji Facebook ads. I was like interviewing people.
Oh, is that right, eh?
Yeah, because I didn't know
your
anyone that wanted
bonus
to join
is
a
an
ball.
apple fritter.
Yeah, but yo, that was some crazy shit. And it's funny because when you play road hockey, you dream of having those expensive sticks like those kids have. But when I finally had money when I was older, buddy, I was buying a new stick like every week, and it felt so good to finally be able to buy a new stick. Right, even when I was skateboarding when I was younger, I never had a new deck. My deck that I first skated, I found it at the park. It had the tail was half off. It was squared off. It had no grip tape. And that was the first board I learned the kick flip, heel flip, varial flip, all on. And then I upgraded to another board from somebody else I bought for $20. And then when I finally got around 25, 26, my nephew got into skateboarding. So we went to build him a deck. And I was like, man, I never built a deck when I was young. I'm gonna build one. So I ended up spending $250, built my own deck, and it felt so good. It felt good because I've never got that experience when I was little.
Dude, that's something that's really changed a lot since we were young. Like skateboarding, that was a phenomenon when we were young, and it's dying. Yeah.
Well, Tony Hawk put it up to another pedestal. Like it was the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
Do you remember Grind? That skateboarding movie, Grind?
Oh yeah. I almost forgot about that actually until you said that. The one I always remember that one that's like the origins of like the
Lords of Dogtown. Yeah. Grind is amazing.
I forgot about Grind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember MVP 2, most vertical primate.
But not that movie, but all those other movies, Grind, American Pie, all those like teen movies. When I was getting into high school, dude, I thought it was gonna be like that, and it was if you were into that kind of group. But we kind of just stayed mellow, did our own thing. It was just really.
Well, I don't know if mellow is exactly how you.
No, but you know what I mean, like.
Yeah.
Like
well,
I knew
American Pie is. a funny one because American Pie was such a staple of our youth in that time period, and now it's considered like a problematic or an
Yeah,
extremely like offensive movie.
because we were with like school. I remember this one kid. He was considered, popular, I guess. I used to like work out with him, but he would come to school every weekend crying like a little bitch that his girlfriend cheated on him, and then she would be
Oh, I know what
crying,
you're talking. I know what you're talking
and
about
then
now.
and then she would be crying that he was cheating on her, and every week it was like that, and it was like, why don't you guys just fuck on the side and not date? Like, what do you guys do? Like,
Yeah,
fuck.
they need to be more like us and just like forget about your relationship. Go throw poo at a house or something.
Yo, that smelled like that was
Normal
bad, yo.
people do. Do something
When
normal
you,
people do. Shit on a park
yeah,
bench or something.
when you fucking brought that poop out in the bag to go throw out the house, yo, that was the smelliest thing ever.
When it was double bagged, it was okay, but when that first layer of bag came off, oh, mama.
It was
You don't
fucking,
realize how much worse it is when it's not in the water.
yeah, it's terrible, yo. Bad,
Terrible. It's probably the
yo.
best thing educationally I learned in high school. Poop
This is
smells.
this is the problem with the podcast. We can't stay on track, yo. We just keep on talking about some crazy shit, yo.
Yeah, what was the topic? Was the topic 30 or is the topic high school?
Hey, well,
how,
hey, you
how about, hey?
your old ass better start popping out some kids soon.
Oh, I'm hoping that's in my near future. I mean, I think the only thing holding me back is finances. I mean, where we live in, like, well, same area you live in, it's insane. Like
Yeah,
buying a house and stuff like that, and just cost of living, rent. Like, I just need to improve my work situation. I guess you never know, something could happen. I just have to make it work. But I mean, I would like to be a little bit better situation before. But yeah, sometimes shit happens, so you never know. But I'm
yeah, well,
definitely
that's it,
hoping
right?
on in
Like
the
I
next.
was, I was in the same boat as that, right? I was living in a basement. I was like, fucking depressed at my job, and Mary got pregnant, right? So it was time to change up, and finally,
Yeah,
you know, I'm one of those kids that like to stay. I like to be very loyal to whatever
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm
definitely.
doing,
With
right?
your
So I
other
don't
job,
like,
I remember when you were working your last job, like you were saying how,
yeah,
but you were super loyal. Like as much as like they weren't really doing anything for you, you were like trying your best to just make the place a better place.
yeah, and like it was funny because it came to the point when I quit. uh, the HR lady wrote me like back, and she's like, "Are you serious? I thought you really wanted to be a big part of this team." And because there
Like,
was there
yeah,
was
they won't
fine,
commit to me.
there was finally the supervisor position available, but then I knew I was probably gonna get it hands down, but like it came to a point that I want to take that and be unhappy coming home to my family every day, and I was like, no, fuck that. I got to take the chance. I got to take the leap. So I just, dude, I had 6 weeks holiday there. I could do whatever I wanted. I whatever, and I
Wow,
was just like,
system's
nah.
pretty good.
Yeah, I was like, you know
Yeah,
what? I'm taking a chance, yo. I'm gonna try something different. So sometimes you just gotta, go with it, even though your gut tells you not to, right?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, what do you think? Is this a good place for us to leave off for our turning 30 episode?
Is that all the questions you had?
I'm trying to think what I got here. Yeah, I don't really got much else to be honest. I don't really have much else.
Like, think about this, like this is what I think turning 30 for me, like growing up from the era we grew up till now, like the things we loved back then, like I know more for me because I was, in that popular group. I had to hide a lot of things I liked when I was younger from, my friends and especially girls. Like
For,
no girls knew I liked wrestling. No girls knew I liked anime. No, for real though. No girls knew
yeah,
I liked anime. Like think about the girls and the guys that liked anime when we were growing up. They'd get made fun of. For real, you
yeah.
know what I mean? And
By
especially
me.
yeah, especially like no, but like the 80s, 70s, like those people got it worse, and like our generation got it bad too. But if you look at this generation, anime is the cool thing to like,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
Like it's crazy. Like when we grew up, you'd get teased, you get beat up, you get fucking, ridiculed, and now it's the popular thing. Anime is popular now. You know, being a geek is popular. Back then it was not, and if you were, you had to hide it. So
Yeah,
I had to hide a lot of shit back then, and from my experience from then till now, all I can say to people, just be who you are, right? Just be who
yeah.
you are. And, in this book of life, when it tells you, you have to have this before you can do whatever, do what makes you happy. It's cliche, but that's basic, right? Just do what makes you happy and don't give a fuck what people tell you or what you have to do. Just do what makes you feel good.
Even if what makes you happy is masturbating on the side of the freeway, you do what makes you happy.
If that makes you happy, buddy, you bust that nut, yo.
You bust that nut. Hit as
You
many
bust it.
windshields as you can.
Yeah. I have so many stories. I have so many stories I could go to, but we're not even
I
talking
know.
about 2030.
I was just thinking too, like you were saying about how a lot of like nerd culture has become like the cool thing now. I
Yeah.
feel like that's as for me getting older, that's been a double edged sword. Like I look at a lot of things like I've grown up with, like comic book characters and Star Wars and stuff. And now the new generation, it's become this mainstream thing. But at the same time, I feel like these things I loved as a child are being bastardized and
Yep.
changed, altered. And I don't know if it's me becoming an old man, a bitter old man, or if that is what I'm perceiving is the reality, that they're just ripping off my childhood for money.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing when people are like, "Oh, I love Marvel," and I go, "Oh yeah, you've read the comics and stuff." No, I just watched the movies. The movies are correct, and I'm like, "Nah, bro." It's like
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm
it's
saying.
like
It's like,
no, especially
I
with
mean,
like
there's some
Transformers
inspiration
and stuff.
there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Like it's just so different now. But like we were saying, like anime, being a geek, video gaming, that's popular. But when we were growing up, yo, you'd get fucking your ass beat for liking that shit.
yeah. And
Like you,
I guess it's a progression because I mean, when my dad was a kid, he used to get picked on for listening to Kiss. So I
yeah.
mean, I think there's always going to be something, right? Like,
But it's a good thing for these younger kids now that social media is so big because there's so many groups that you can go on. Like when we were younger, there wasn't any anime fucking groups we could go in and find people to hang out with. There was nothing like that, right? It's
yeah,
just
that's true. But at the same time, I'm extremely happy that we grew up our
oh yeah,
childhood
oh yes,
unconnected
yes.
to social media. Because man, I don't think we might not have been out wandering the streets all night, causing all the fucking shit and creating all the great stories that we have if we had all the shit we have now, and if we grew up the way we are now, we probably would have been up just as late on our Xbox or on our computers or some shit, right?
Well, for sure, right? Like so, I don't know. Like if you look at, can you go a year without your phone?
A year without my phone? Not at this
Yeah.
point. Not at
No.
this point.
See, like that's what I'm saying. Like some people can't even go a half an hour.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And like that's how important these are. But when we were a kid, like we were carrying around a Game Boy. That
Yeah,
was our
exactly.
right. That was our little phone, right?
Freaking
So
new, man. I remember the year that I was gonna get a cell phone. My high school girlfriend wanted me to get one. My mom wanted me to get one. And that's why I ended up getting one. I knew it was coming for Christmas. I told him, "Don't get me a freaking phone." I knew that she was an electric dog collar.
yeah,
That was what I was saying then. That's what I'm saying now.
yeah.
Electric
Well,
dog
like
collar.
I had a cell phone in grade 7, so like
Yeah, you
I
had
was
it way back, eh?
yeah,
That
I
must
was
have been a
already
flip
on
phone,
it.
eh? No, was it?
I,
What was it?
it was a Samsung ripoff BlackBerry. That's what I had.
Oh, okay. I was gonna guess
Yeah,
Nokia because so many people had those
no,
Nokia phones early
it was
on.
one of those paid phones that Walmart has. I had one of those,
Oh,
and
right.
and my
Man, I was even. Oh,
My
go on.
ringtone was tempted to touch.
Oh god.
That
Then
was
you.
just like that was funny that ringtone because I remember I was not my ex but like previous I was laying on the couch with her and I was working my way up her shirt and then my tempted to touch started ringing my phone so I picked it up and it was my dad. He's like oh hey the Leafs game's gonna start in 20 minutes. You coming home? And I put down the phone. I looked down. I'm like I gotta go.
Well, I gotta go. I gotta watch Sundin and a bunch of bums lose.
You shut the fuck up, man.
Oh, sorry. Did I insult Matt Stajan or
Hey,
Carlo Koliakovo?
hey, that's when we had the Twin Towers, okay? Nick Antropov and Ponikarovsky.
Oh no, I like Nick. I like Nick Antropov, so I'm not even gonna chirp Nick
Yeah, very good.
Antropov.
No, but I might have turned down something special to go see the Leafs. Fucking, they actually beat Montreal and they were in 8th, and then New Jersey lost.
Oh, that must have been
Yeah,
like bad. That must have been bad Montreal too. I bet they had Kostitsins.
yeah, yeah. They had them like Gomez and shit.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, Gomez.
uh,
I remember that one year he went like 40 games without like scoring a goal or some shit like that. I don't know.
uh,
Maybe I'm just it.
oh, we can go on all day, yo. Turning
Yeah,
30.
probably good.
Turning 30. Well,
And
what's your recap it? Recap your childhood to now. Like, what is music the same like? Do you still like the same music? Do you still like the same video games? Do you like the same movies? Have you adapted to the new movies? Like, have you adapted to the new music? Like, is it, yeah, are you staying with the old and kind of just floating through the years, or are you adapting?
I am constantly discovering new things, but I find most of those things are just older things that I'd never been exposed to previously. I'm
Yeah,
constantly listening to new music, but I would say only 15% of it is actually new music. And I'd say the same thing about film and even television, to be honest. Like I'm going back and watching a lot of like just TV from like the 70s and 60s and enjoying it. And same with film. And so I'm
yeah,
like always my taste is always changing, but it's not really with the new stuff. I constantly tell people I think we live in like a borderline dystopian society at this point, entertainment wise, where you don't see many new ideas. It's mostly just revamps of old stuff, and I'm across the board, television, film, and music. But what do you
yeah.
feel? How do you?
I'm the same with you with the music. I don't listen to any of the newer like hip hop kind of stuff. I
Yeah,
you know my hip hop is more that underground dingy hip hop. You know, the hip hop when you hear it and you automatically start bobbing your head. That's my
right,
style
right.
of hip hop. But I love Euro dance music. You know that. I love punk
Oh yeah,
rock.
I know that.
I love
Yeah,
punk rock. I love some metal. So I'm mostly old, but like more of the metal and the newer age punk rock. Like I'll get into a little bit, but not so much the hip hop or the Euro dance. Obviously, that '90s Euro dance will never be replaceable. So I can't really
yeah, man.
get that. I would like to
Do you,
thank when we're here, um, John. I don't want to say his last name, but John C.
yeah.
When we were in credit recovery, when I failed math with a 55 because fucking Miss Patterson was a bitch. I'd like to say that man changed my music fucking likes when he was sitting there and he always had his headphones on. I said, dude, what are you listening to? And he's like, I'm listening to What Is Love. And I'm like, what is that? And he let me listen to it. And for 4 months straight, I listened to that fucking song.
I remember you being obsessed with that. I remember
You
you being
remember
obsessed. You'd sing it too.
that?
See, I was always familiar with that song because the SNL skit, in Night of
Yeah,
Roxbury.
yeah. But I never watched SNL and stuff like that, so I didn't know it. And then when I heard it, I'm like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life.
This is the greatest thing I ever heard, other than Sandstorm.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
fuck. Sandstorm, yo. So nothing's changed. Like, what do you think about new age film though? Do you like more the cinematic or do you like the old school when it's acting was acting like it was heavy acting based?
yeah, and well, specifically like you were saying, I don't know if you mean like CGI. Like I'm not a huge
Yeah.
CGI fan. I think
No, that's what I
CGI
mean.
is a
Like
major
like a
crutch
lot
these
of
days.
CGI, or are you a heavy on more of the story, the acting, and
Oh,
less of the
oh,
CGI?
100%. And my
Yeah, you're
biggest things
just
when I'm watching a film is acting and dialogue.
yeah, you're
The
just
script.
like me. Like my favorite movies are 80s and 90s movies, even if they're the shitty ones, they're my favorite because the storyline's always great. The acting is kind of choppy, but the story just carries you through the movie, right? So that's my
Yeah.
stuff. But turning 30, man, we made it, and AVGN changed my
Good
life
video game
for
nerd. Yeah,
because
same here, dude. Angry video
yeah,
game nerd. Oh,
that
oh,
even I discovered Happy Console Gamer from just searching up Shenmue, and he had a review on it, and that just completely changed my life. And then somehow I came across AVGN, and that was it. We used to call it picking. Remember, we used to hit all the thrift stores, garage
yeah. For the
sailing.
games.
We were looking for all the video games, board games, whatever retro stuff we could
And
find.
because that show, like, you wanted the really shit ones too. Like, you wanted the
Yeah.
good ones. You also wanted the really shit ones.
Well, because of that show, a lot of the shitty games went up in price, right? Because we all wanted that stuff. Like we could talk about. Remember, I called you guys and I was like, "Hey guys, I got something really big. Be out front." And I was coming home. I was at Goodwill and I was looking at this on eBay, but it was like $150, and this was 10 years ago. And I seen it on Goodwill. It was the only game on the shelf, and it was $2, so I picked it up. And I fucking called you and I'm like, "Yo, Dan, who are you with right now?" And you said you're with everybody. I'm like, "You guys all wait outside. I'll be there in 15." And I remember I pulled down your street and you guys all thought I got a new car or something. I pulled in your driveway and you guys like, "What is it? What is it?" And I popped the trunk open and it was the Pokemon Master Trainer board game.
Oh, the Pokemon Master Trainer, the greatest board game to ever exist.
Yeah, that's my favorite board game. And how late did we play it that night? We were up to
Oh my
what?
god, we played it all. Oh, I don't remember that night. I remember that 10 night we played it like
No, but
literally all
do you
night.
remember when? No, when we first played it, we played it from what,
We
6:30.
yes, we altered the rules where every
Yeah,
Pokemon had caught by the end of the to finish
yeah.
the game.
So yeah, that's it. We had to have caught every single Pokemon before we went to fight the Elite. So we were
Yeah,
playing
'cause the
it
concept of
forever.
it worked the same. It was laid out the same way as the Game Boy games. You go from town to town, and you collect Pokemon. Once you get to a certain level, you can fight the
Yeah,
Elite Four, and then the first person to win that wins it. What is it? First person win that, but then we used to also play like we used to
yeah,
play all kinds of alternate rules. Like we play like
yeah.
strongest team two would win stuff like that, and
That
yeah,
that was that was Pokemon Go before Pokemon Go.
it is better than Pokemon Go. I find it. Yeah, it's better than Pokemon Go.
You know what's
Little
funny with
pieces of paper like Pokemon, way better.
You know what's funny with Pokemon Go? I was never gonna play that because I was like, if I play, I'm gonna get addicted to it. And then I ended up playing it when I met my wife, and then we
Yeah,
got addicted to it, right? And then especially when
it's
she was
nice.
like, yeah, and we were just playing. Now I don't play it at all. I haven't played it in like
Yeah,
over 6 or 7 months, but fuck.
PA's with it, but we definitely have gone through periods where we both play it. It's a nice thing to do, like as a couple. You go for a
Yeah,
walk or whatever, play it, or we go for a drive and just hit Pokestops and stuff. But it
yeah. The
definitely gets
only
old after a while. You're like, what am I doing? I'm not even doing anything. I'm just swiping my hand to throw balls at a fucking Pokemon. Like,
Yeah. Oh, I want to ask you this too before we hang up here, because like I remember when I was in high school, I told you guys I didn't go to college and it was my choice, right? But what I wanted to do was I wanted to be a photographer or archaeologist because I was really into history, right?
yeah.
You went back to school for a victory lap. How was that? Because that
Well,
must have was that rough for you?
it didn't last. I went back
Okay, okay.
and I went for 2 weeks. David went back as well, but David
Oh,
was going
David
co-op.
went back too, eh?
Yeah, but he was going back
Okay.
for co-op. So I went back for like 3 weeks, and then David got his co-op. And then once David was gone, it was the only person I even really had to talk to in that whole school was my high school girlfriend. I remember being like, I'm out of here. I'm not coming back for this shit. I've already graduated. I'm not coming back. I just stopped going.
Yeah, no, because I was gonna say like for me to end up going to school to be the archaeologist, I'd have to go back again, and I'm like, I ain't
Oh, you
going
wanted to
back to
improve your
fucking
grades or
school.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, no, well, I needed like the sciences and stuff in grade 12, and I needed math in grade 12. Those things I didn't take. Like
I
my last year of high school, my courses were, I think it was like gym, fitness, computer engineering, photography, and media arts. So like I did nothing my last year in high school.
And for me, college was easier than friggin' high school. I mean, I went for a trade, so there was literally had no work I had to do outside of the shop, basically.
Yeah, well, that's it.
A little bit of studying
Buddy,
for a life exam. That's it.
the grade school, the high school, the working, the turning 30. Buddy, here we are, man. And we can go on for another 3 hours. I'll tell you that
We
right now.
definitely could. We could go on. Yeah, absolutely.
Fuck.
What is it? Oh, David mentioned his honeymoon schedule with Gervais, how they had all the same classes or whatever in the same lunch in grade 12.
Well, David
It's
and
the most
Gervais,
adorable. That's when they
David and
used to go for
Gervais could
breakfast
have
every
joined the
weekend.
podcast. They can join the podcast next week.
Yeah, we'll figure it out for next week. We're gonna try to figure it out. That's another thing. Turning 30, like we overnight don't know how to work any technology. We don't know how to get a
No.
third guy for
When
a
I
podcast.
was in high school, I could work anything. I was great at Photoshop,
Yeah,
everything. Dude, I barely know how to fucking turn on my wife's computer.
yeah,
She
man. I can't do
fuck.
shit on a computer. Fuck.
All they have is this Apple shit now. I don't know how to fucking work this shit. I want Windows 98. Or give me Windows XP. That's all I want.
Yeah.
Give me give me Windows XP. That's all you need. You can't even get Movie Maker anymore. Is that even a thing, or do you have to buy it? Like I
I
don't
don't
even.
think so. I don't think they even make it because I think there's so many like better alternatives that have come out. I don't think anybody even uses it. We did all of our movie on Windows Movie Maker and then the One Effects program.
Yeah, but yeah,
Gervais
man,
just mentioned the effects program.
we've done a lot, yo. We've done a lot. We talked about a lot of crazy shit. I don't even know if we talked anything about being 30, but
We hit some stuff. I mean, being 30 is more boring than all of our high school shenanigans, anyways. So,
fuck.
well,
All right,
yeah,
all right. Well,
we'll
I think it's
we'll
time to
leave it
wrap it
here.
up.
Yeah, so I don't think we haven't really decided on a. I think it'll be a surprise for our topic next week, but in 2 weeks is our Star Wars special for May the 4th. So I hope
Yes,
everybody's ready for that. We're
I know
definitely
you're ready
hoping to
for that.
have more people by then.
Yeah, you're ready. So whoever watches this one, bear with us. It's a long one this week, but I hope you enjoy some of our stories. And trust me, we have hours and hours and hours of just crazy, dumb shit we did during our younger days for sure. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time.
See you next week.